Welcome, everybody, to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe. I'm here with co host
Gio.
CGO or George. Today is the 7th of February, 2026, and we are talking about the results of the Premier League matches today. There were 7 matches in the Premier League today. I'm going to read off the results real quick. Tottenham lost to United, Sunderland lost to Arsenal, Wolves lost to Chelsea, Brentford beat Newcastle, Fulham lost to Everton, West Ham beat Burnley, and Bournemouth and Aston Villa drew. Let me just go through a couple of the peak moments for today before I pass it off to George. There's a red card in the Sergio from Romero in the Spurs versus United game. The relegation battle is heating up with West Ham win and Nottingham Forest loss. That is now an actual relegation race, which is exciting. United now have more wins and more points than they got all of last year. And I think, George, the biggest storyline from today is Arsenal is now mathematically safe from relegation. But, George, what was your favorite game of the day? What was your favorite moment? Let's start with United versus Spurs, George. What observations did you have there? Because it was just the first game of the day.
Well, I feel Cristiano Romero was the biggest undoing of Tottenham today. Because if you look at the first half of the game was a balanced game. At that moment, it was more like it could go either way. Tottenham would have gotten at least a draw in this game with the way they were approaching the game prior to the red card. Because it was a careless action by Cristiano Romero. The most sad aspect of it that he's the captain of the team. The funny thing is that this guy, or let me say the sad aspect of it, that this is the second red card he's getting for the season. And then he has about 9 red cards in his football career.
Most red carded player of the last 4 years, 5 years.
Honestly, for me, he just costed the team so much. And you don't expect that from a captain of a team. You expect him to be the one trying to calm other players down, make them be very responsible the way they act on the pitch. But Romero costed this team, and that was how it made everything easier for Manchester United. Immediately they got the red card, I knew Manchester United, with the way they play, definitely they will take advantage of that. And they got the job done, scoring 2 goals, one from Brian Bremo, and then the second half we saw a goal from their captain, Bruno Fernandes. So for me, Manchester United deserved to win the game. And Tottenham gave it to them in the platter of gold, courtesy of the attitude or the action of Cristiano Romero, who is the captain of the team.
George, I do agree with you that, I mean, it was a very good game until the Romero red card, which is around like 32 minutes, something like that. But it was middle of this first half. And but a couple observations though on that first Embuemo goal, which was brilliant. Like that is not a goal you concede because you're down to one guy. Like that's a set piece goal off of corner kick. That is a goal that is due to lack of discipline. The extra defend you could have 5 extra defenders. If you have the intensity that Tottenham showed on that, they're still going to score that every time. And it was very well worked from United. I'm not taking anything away from them. They saw an opening and they took it, but I'm sure they're laughing at that in the locker room at United, being like, "Look, I can't believe Tottenham gave us that much space." If Buemo could have smoked a cigarette before he finished that ball, he had plenty of time to pick out his spot. A couple other observations. Yeah, I mean, Sergio Romero, I agree with you. Like, that is unacceptable. I think that he's postured for a move a couple times. Maybe this is a part of it, just acting out as a part of that. Maybe it's a sign that Thomas Frank has lost the locker room. I know that he was out there trying to defend Romero very unsuccessfully after the game. A lot of managers will get in front and say, like, no, Romero, this is out of character. It is in character for Romero. He's done this several times. I think anybody who's watched Tottenham can know. But credit to United. I thought they played a lot of times red cards kill games because the team who's attacking, the other team, the team that's defending is very compact, like Brentford were last week. But in this game, United were still able to cut that apart. I think that could translate going forward as they face more low blocks with 11 men. I thought they did a great job today being incisive, and they created a lot of chances. And of course, Fernandez scored that brilliant goal. It was a toe poke, but he did score. It was brilliant. George, next game, let's talk about Arsenal Sunderland.
Well, honestly, at the beginning of the match, it wasn't that easy for Arsenal because Sunderland were very defensive the way they planned out their game. Because they knew the kind of opposition they were playing, and they know that they are playing at the Emirates. The Arsenal supporters will be there to support them and to cheer them up. So they knew they were going for a very uphill task. Unfortunately for them, one of their best player, Granit Xhaka, was not available for the game because he was injured. So they tried to frustrate Arsenal not to get the goal, but unfortunately for them, before the end of the first half, a brilliant goal from Zubimendi uh, broke that barrier, and as soon as they considered that goal, Arsenal were able to at least have some level of more confidence coming into the second half. And good one for the man they call Victor Gyökeres, who has not been having it too easy with
He didn't
Arsenal this
start.
season.
He didn't start the game.
Yeah, he didn't start the game. He came in as a substitute, I think around the 60th minute or so. And 6 minutes after, he got his first goal of the game. And then I think at the 92nd minute of the game, he got the second goal for the game. So which means he got a brace today, which is a very good one. That will definitely boost his confidence because a lot of people were becoming very critical of his performance, considering the hype around him when he was coming to the club. So for
I
me, this is a
I'm
good one for
critical.
him.
I'm critical of his performance. The Arsenal signed him for big money. He's not young. He's 27. They signed him as a player to come in and score 15 goals right away. I feel like he has not warranted the price tag, nor the reputation he garnered in Portugal, at least so far with his performance. He was not signed as a player who's going to grow in 3 years and be the best player in the world in three. He was signed as the ready-made product to fit into a ready-made team. He plays his role fine, but I accepted him to be more of the superstar, like a Saka or a Holland, who everybody looks at as like he's the guy who's going to create. He has not been that for Arsenal, but he hasn't needed to be. Maybe Arteta's being like chill and just be like, hey, like no pressure, like. But I expected more from Gyökeres this year. I don't judge a transfer on 8 months. I feel like it's really hard. I mean, you should really wait 2, 3, 4 years. If Arsenal wins the title, I mean, who cares if Gyökeres scored five? I mean, only 8 goals all year. I'm sure Arteta won't. But I've been disappointed with his performances this year. One thing though, I mean, Arteta though, I've been super impressed. One of the benefits of having Arteta there for 6, 7, 8 years is that they had a couple different players rotate into their side as opposed to the midweek game with not a single drop in quality. Yes, Sunderland did was very tight defensively, and the Zubimendi goal, it would have taken a moment of brilliance to break him down, and the Zubimendi goal was very good. But Arteta was able to rotate in different players. Of course, Rice, I feel like, is the pinpoint and has to start every game. But around him, Havertz, Trossard, Martinelli, Madueke. When Saka comes back, it'll be great. Odegaard, when he comes back, it'll be seamless. Like there's no drop in quality between any number of rotations that Arteta has. That's due to years of developing these players, making them on the training pitch used to each other. Obviously, Gabby Jesus is a name I haven't thrown out there, but Arsenal did a great job with rotation, and I feel like that's a big difference between Arsenal this year and a couple of years ago.
No, that's the advantage when you have a quality squad depth because it's not
Yeah.
about having players on the bench, but when you have players that are when you have players who are on the bench who are as good as those who are on the field play, it gives you a lot of flexibility when it comes to rotation. But when you don't have quality bench, then rotating might be a bit difficult for you. If your best players are injured, then you might start suffering a lot when it comes to performance. So that's the advantage Arsenal has. This season, they have squad depth. So far as I'm concerned, Arsenal has the best squad depth in the Premier League this season. Even City cannot boast of the squad depth Arsenal has as we speak.
Hi, George. Just because it was a lot of games today. This has been fun. I did not watch this game, but Chelsea Wolves 3-1. What were your takeaways?
Well, first half, Chelsea were able to get the job done. Cole Palmer scoring a hat trick in the first half, and he has made history as the first player in the Premier League to score three first half hat trick. So that's a very big plus for him. And then he has 4 hat-trick for Chelsea. He's the first person to do that in Chelsea because the likes of Lampard, Jimmy, Floyd Ashley-Bank, and the drawer, they have 3 hat-tricks. But this guy has beaten that record. He has 4 hat-tricks. That is a very big plus for him. And one thing I noticed is that as soon as Palmer was taken off in the second half, you notice that Chelsea's performance dropped a bit. And that was why Wolves were able to mount some kind of pressure. I didn't see that kind of intensity I saw in the first half, in the second half. And I think Chelsea coach has to take note of that because we saw something similar against Crystal Palace after they scored 3 goals, despite the fact that Crystal Palace got a red card. Adam Wharton got a red card in that game. One would expect Chelsea to have taken advantage of that to score more goals, but it's like they went to sleep. And we saw similar thing happen against Wolves. After they scored the 3 goals, it's more like they went to sleep. They were so relaxed. We didn't see that intensity we saw in the first half. So it's something they have to work on. Make sure you keep the tempo high, you maintain the intensity, and try to score as much goal as possible because you never can tell the way the Premier League is. There might be a time you might have same points with those competing with you, but goal difference might make the whole difference for you. So they need
George,
to do something about that.
I think that Chelsea as a team need to be able to just, all right, we're up 2 goals. Let's make the game boring. Like that doesn't mean don't go for goals, but that means be very risk averse. And that's a skill that a mature team has, and that's a necessary skill. Arsenal has it. Liverpool had it last year, and I think I've seen it, a couple times. But like Man City has it. If they're up 2-0, they try and make the game boring. They've failed a couple of times this year too, but bad example. But a good and mature team can do that, and I feel like that's a skill that is great. And that doesn't mean you're 100% perfect, but you can definitely minimize just the variance of the result of the game up 2-0 for 30 minutes. Just make the game as boring as possible. As a team, that's a skill.
But if you are making the game boring, then you shouldn't concede because you notice when they conceded that goal, Robert Sanchez was very angry because I'm sure he was looking forward to a clean sheet in this game. And against a Wolves side that has been poor this season, you should be able to get a clean sheet against Wolves. You don't concede a goal.
George, these are still professional players, and one mistake, even against these guys, Heung-Min Chen can score 10 goals like that. Like I don't know if he played today because I didn't watch the game. They're still professional players that you can show respect. And Wolves, they have shown more fight than a lot of these teams have gotten relegated off the air. In my opinion, they're better than Burnley. Shown more. I mean, I think they showed a bit of fight. I think I still think they'll get relegated, but I think they'll play spoiler this year and take some points off some teams who are going for good spots and get some pride. And that's why they brought in Rob Edwards. He definitely wants to take. He's approaching every game and giving that team hope again because they lost it in the fall, and I think that they again have hope that they can win again. And that's just really important as fans. And even if they know they're going down, I think that the job Rob Edwards has done to provide hope to that fan base has been great. Let's move on real quick to the next game. This is Brentford versus Newcastle. George, there are 2 penalties in this game. Do you think, did you see the highlights? Do you think they're both penalties?
Come again?
So this game, Newcastle scored first. Brentford scored 2. The second one's a penalty. Newcastle then got a penalty, and then Brentford scored late. I thought this was a fantastic game for neutrals. Obviously, I'm not a neutral, but the 3 goals were all exciting. There's 2 penalties in the game. I felt they were both harsh, but probably still penalties, but very harsh, both of them. But ultimately didn't influence the result. George, let's talk real quick. Were the penalties? Did you notice anything on the sense of gameplay?
I won't say the penalties were harsh because if you look at the penalty that was given to Brentford, it was an handball by Murphy. The ball was going into the net. So you stopping the ball with your hands not to get into the net is a clear penalty. So there wasn't anything harsh about it. That penalty was a well-deserved one. And then if you look at the one Kayode caused, it happened as a result of a kind of, I think he slipped, and then somehow it affected the Newcastle player, and that result. So for me, I won't say it's really very harsh. It's something that was a clear penalty. But the reality is that the game was a very, very interesting one. I must be honest with you. It was a very enjoyable game. Both teams really live up to billing, even though I wasn't expecting Brentford to defeat Newcastle at St. James's Park, because that ground is a very difficult place to go and get results. So credit must go to Keith Andrews for the great job he is doing there with Brentford. I must tell you, he has been very, very impressive. I was wondering, I had a lot of fears for Brentford when Thomas Frank left the club to Tottenham.
You know,
And
George, no Brentford fan had a legitimate fear. I mean, people who don't watch us had that fear. I did not. I knew that whoever the club would bring in would be great. I'll say this: a couple observations about this game too. Number one, Lewis Hall had a fantastic game,
yes,
and Kieran Tripper had an awful game. Brentford were switching Dango Owatara to wherever Kieran Tripper was going, and they specifically attacked him. In the game in November, Dan Burn, due to injuries, was playing fullback. And I think Dan Burn is a fantastic center back. But the guy is 6'6" and he turns like the Titanic. He is not a good fullback, and Brentford specifically attacked him in November when we played, and we won it at G-Tech. And this game, we specifically attacked Kieran Trippier, and we had to avoid Lewis Hall. And Lewis Hall was he shut down Owatara, so we switched him. And then Keane Lewis Potter, but when he was on the other wing, was shut down. So he did a fantastic job too. I thought Dango Ouattara in particular had a great game,
yes, he had a great game. Yeah.
even before the goal, and overall Brentford played fantastic.
I think Trippier was the weak link in the Newcastle defense, and Brentford took advantage of that. Kieran Trippier, I think he costed his team the defeat today.
At
I must
least
be
two
honest with
goals.
you. Yes,
At least two goals.
yes.
The penalty was his fault because Jacob Murphy
Yes.
knew nothing about it. And my point, and George, you're right. By the letter of the law, it's a penalty. Do I think that a guy who has his arm he's using it for balance? He's not trying to make himself bigger. And from 10 feet away, it's a ball's blasted into his arm that's a foot out of his body. I don't think that the rules should reflect this a penalty. I understand that they do, and that by the letter of the law, it's a penalty. That was my point. But you're right.
Because he prevented, because the ball was going into the net. So
George, if my hand is here and you blast it from 10 feet away, I don't think that should be a penalty if you can't do anything about it and you're not making your arm bigger. It's my personal thought, and let's move on because I don't want to dwell on this. I understand what you're saying, but George, we were getting at it was
that's
just a great.
Game. That's Bournemouth and Aston Villa.
Bournemouth and Aston Villa. That's actually, George, let's close out because we've talked about quite a bit. We might get to that Bournemouth Aston Villa tomorrow. I did watch the last couple of minutes of that, and it was not. I thought it was not the highest quality match in terms of drama or excitement, but a lot happened in the Premier League today. Questions for audience: what is your favorite storyline? I think there's a lot that happened today. Again, in the relegation race, in the title race, in the Champions League spots race. Which are you most excited for? What are you paying the most attention to? What was your favorite goal for today? There's a lot of great goals. Just curious about your goal is. And what is your prediction for the relegation race? Will West Ham be able to catch Nottingham Forest? Appreciate your listening. Have a good day.